Okay. Hello. Welcome to episode 7 of the Designery Podcast. And today we have a very special guest to communicate or basically discuss with us on a very interesting topic, the designer's playbook to building real products. All right. So if you are joining live today, you're going to learn at the end of this conversation how do you move an idea to actual product. How are you sure? How will you confirm that you're building the right product? And also, how are you going to basically achieve, not necessarily though, but something like product market fit for whatever it is you're working on. So stay tuned to the end of today's session. Yeah, so we have a very special guest, like I said, Dara Israel Sobaloju. Sobaloju. I hope I got the last name correctly. So Dara is the lead product designer with Trips and also is the brain behind the Pewbeam AI. So if you're in the Nigerian design space, you've been following up with what's going on, you definitely would have heard about Pewbeam AI, but I will leave him to say more about that. So yeah, Dara, tell us about yourself and one project you recently worked on that you're really proud of. I will be surprised if that's not Pewbeam AI, but yeah, let's go.
All right. I mean, it seems you've answered the question already, but yeah, my name is Dara Sobaloju, and I'm happy to be here once again. So, I mean, I'm a product designer. That's why I'm here. a podcast. That's why I'm. So, yeah, I mean, you were right. The exciting project I've worked on recently, that's Pewbeam AI, right? I mean, it's exciting not just because is in the AI space, which is the space that is presently making the waves right now, but even much more because of the problem we are trying to solve with it and how passionate I am about that particular subject. Much more so, it's also been inspiring to see the responses that people have given so far, which is quite exciting. People wanting to use it, people who aren't even going to be able to use it that are rooting for the success of it. And the challenges, I think the exciting part is usually the challenge, right? I mean, I was literally working on fixing an issue just a couple of minutes before this podcast. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
All right, thank you so much. I know today's session is going to be very insightful, especially for designers who are building stuff. Yeah, so tell us about how you got into design. Is it something you always wanted to do? I don't know if you have an engineering background, but yeah, just tell us a bit about that.
All right, thank you. Is this something I've always wanted to do? I don't know if I can answer yes to that, but I'll just run through my story. I have told, let me say, thousands now, right? Because I mean, I usually like to tell it in details because of how it can be misconstrued, my journey so far. Well, I realized that I wanted to be a designer much later, but I found I wanted to be in tech space much earlier, right? That was when I was in towards the end of my year one in the University. That was when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. And then the summary is basically that I wanted to, when I applied for medicine and surgery, going into school, maybe as most people around that time would have done, but unfortunately then, fortunately now, did not get it. So I had reapplied for JAM. Just the day before JAM, I had been preparing so hard. I was telling everybody that could listen, people close to me, that I was going to leave the department and all of that. Then just the day before jump, I just sat down where I was reading. Interestingly, in Open University, then I was seated reading, and then it all occurred to me that is this what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? Because prior to that, I did not have a lot of insight into what medicine and surgery is. I mean, it was just a fancy industry, a fancy profession, and then I knew people who were doing quite well. But at this time, I had seen medicine and surgery students on campus. I had seen how much they read. I had seen how much it takes their time and their being. And I was like, no, this is not the kind of person I wanted to be. And it's funny, but because right there and there, I was supposed to write jams the next day. I picked up my books and I left the lecture theater and I did not go for that exam. That was when I decided, okay, you know what? This is not the way. I decided I was going to complete my course, what I was doing at the time, and I decided what I wanted to do is tech. Because prior to that, I think just 4 years, my first encounter with a computer was 4 years before I got into school. That was yeah, that was 2010. That was the first time I had an encounter with a computer, and then it was love at first sight. That's the only love at first sight I've experienced because I knew I wanted to do something with this. Yeah, I knew I wanted to do something with this thing. So when I now fast forward again back to 200 level, then I started going to the computer science department. I was doing a lot of stuff there. I was making friends, people that were doing things around tech. I was just trying to find my way around. I was reading a lot of TechCrunch, TechPoint at the time, the Next Web, to just understand what's happening within the tech space. Well, fast forward again, because it's a long story, so I'm doing a lot of fast forwarding. So fast forward again, when I was now in 300 level, I was the general secretary of my then fellowship on campus. Then I needed to help out with design. So I picked up my roommate's computer, my bedmate, to be more precise, computer, and I started doing stuff because I just needed to do it. I did not exactly learn. It will just point out a few things to me. What are you doing here? I mean, I shared my first design on Twitter, I think earlier this year, and it was horrible. Now, I mean, looking back, it was horrible. But at the time, it was nice for me at least. Well, so when I was done with school, like I said, it's a long story. If I should continue telling the story, it will be interesting. I will be here for the rest of the day. But fast forward again. So after school, I knew what I wanted to do is tech. I had always known from that year to from that night I stood up. I did not go for that jammed exam. It was like that's the only thing I could do in my life, just tech. That was the only thing that would make sense. So after school, I got employment with a tech firm, but not as a product designer or whatnot. I got an employment as a product marketer, business development person, really, when it started. But when the product eventually went live, I became the product marketer, basically. Then I had a lot of conversations with developers and designers, and one of them, Akorede Ayon BC, is a product designer, very well to do in crafts, right? So we worked at the same company at the time. So I reached out to him, not worked up because I'm working remotely. I reached out to him, asked him questions about design, product design, and all of that. Then he guided me well. He told me how things worked and all of that. And then I remember the day the then company was launching, we were together in a car, and then he pointed out a few things. Then I just went back and I decided to lock in. So I just locked in. That was now, I think this was around April 20, April, July 20, around between April and July 2021. So September 2021, I decided to lock in. So I locked in for 2 months, and then by November that year, I had my first case study, right? And then it was up from there basically. So that was my journey. So, but because of something you mentioned, I should also say this. In between all of this, I learned Python, I learned front-end development because I was just trying to find my place within tech. But
Yeah.
eventually, it seems product design was what I really wanted to do because, and that came from the experience I had doing product marketing.
Mm.
To put that out there, the product marketing thing was the fact that I was speaking to users a lot because the company I was working with at the time had a B2C and a B2B product. So I was speaking
Okay.
with users a lot. And when I speak to users, when they request for a feature, I would have to go back to the designer, to the designers, and to the developers to communicate that
Yeah.
with them. So I mean, I was able to see what the user experienced firsthand, and I saw how difficult it is to convey what the users want to the developers, to the tech
Oh,
guys, so to say, in this sense.
wow. Okay.
That was what inspired me. Like, okay, you know what? This is a space I think my knowledge could actually make an impact. So I doubled
Yeah.
down, and here we are today. The
Wow. That's
rest is
very
history, as they
interesting. Yeah.
say.
I think you basically would, it will be difficult to find somebody, they are there now, especially in this new past few years, but to find somebody who wakes up one day and like, okay, I'm going to do product design, right? Most of the designers you see now, especially the OGs like you, initially they wasn't product design. Somehow they stumbled into it, and yeah. Okay.
I,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. So just one more thing
I
before we
wouldn't
move.
myself OG, but yeah, I get you.
I'm not sure the industry would agree, but for now, allow. Okay, so yeah, so just one more thing before we move into
I
some.
am the industry.
All right, so just one more thing before we move on to more serious, not really serious, but like really deep questions sort of. So What's one non-design related? Hello, Dara, are you still there? Your video is off. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so okay, I think Dara's dropped off, but basically, I don't know, should be network. But yeah, it's giving us a bit into his background on how he had to explore, and also typically the if you have been designing for let's say the past 4, 5, 6 years, his story will most likely be familiar, right? You didn't have a laptop, you had to use a friend's laptop, then you explored, you learned Photoshop, you learned Illustrator. At the point you wanted to do programming because you were thinking you're going to make a lot of money with programming, and eventually stumbled into product design. So yeah, yeah. So Dara, back to you. Welcome back. So we're just keeping our
Thank you.
audience
Thank you.
engaged till you're back. All right. So outside of design, what is one thing you do that fuels your creativity? Right? Like, okay, apart from getting inspiration, like what's one thing you do to just fuel your creativity and drive you when you work on products?
Really, one thing I do, which I've not, unfortunately, I've not had much time to do it recently, as much as I would love to, is reading fictions and watching movies, not just any kind of movies. Really, I have my I have my directors that I love to follow, right? And the reason for that is because they I see design as storytelling, right? And that is because you are trying to get a message across to your audience, whichever way you are doing that. That is really what we're trying to do. So you just need to ensure that the design is crafted in a way that particular message you're trying to get across gets to them. Because it's business. You are designing for a business, right?
Yeah, dropped off again. Raphael, can you see Dara local? Okay, hello
I think
guys.
it dropped off. It dropped off.
Yeah, it dropped off. Should be network issues. This Nigeria MTN for the past few days. I don't know if you say if you use MTN, but MTN, I don't know. At some point we have to drag MTN in this country. But yeah, network can be.
And I was just looking to ask him because the other day I saw that he reads manga, so I was really excited when he brought this up because I was asking him that how far I saw that he reads manga or that we should be mutuals on X.
I don't know. Maybe
Utaji, you
we'll
should
leave that.
join
I,
us. I don't know. I don't know why
eh?
you don't like anime.
What's
Eh?
that? Anime.
Join us watching anime. Yes, now.
You wouldn't even ask me if I how often I watch movies. Talking about
I honestly cannot imagine watching movie, right?
I do. I think I was watching Tron, one movie. I don't know. I didn't finish it, but I was just trying to finish it up today. And also, I do a lot of football highlights and reels. Then my comedy series that I just keep waiting for each episode, Flatmates. But yeah, but
Okay,
the
cool.
anime thing, I don't know. I'll try.
Don't
But
worry.
so Dara is
Will
back.
yeah.
Dara is back. So guys, just hang in here. But we have very interesting topics or subtopics under this topic we're discussing today, which basically is around the designer's playbook to building real products. So basically, we want to just pick Dara's brain on how he was able to take Pewbeam AI. Pewbeam AI is not the first thing Dara has built. I think I've seen one of the products, Twibo, where if you have a group of friends and you want to go out and hang out, right, and you're looking for a restaurant or somewhere to hang out, basically, right? Twibo is the product you can use to like, okay, without having to have that discussion, you can just swipe and you guys can, if you eventually swipe on the same restaurant, that is where you guys would eventually go to hang out. So Dara has built all that stuff, but Pewbeam AI has caught the interest of a lot of people, churches, even outside the country, basically, right? And yeah, that has given him so much opportunity. So we want to know, we want to learn from him how he was able to take this idea in such a short period of time and bring it to life. So that's the reason why we're having this session, right? So when he's back, we have very interesting questions that we're going to just talk about to just pick his brain and also get behind the scene on how he's currently building and scaling Pewbeam AI. So just hang in here with us. Um, I'm not sure that pretty much a lot of things we can do to Dara is back. Raphael, let me try and check upon him to see if he's all good.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
while we're trying to get him back, I think it's pretty interesting how much a lot of design origin stories share a lot in common. Um, the stumbling upon for me it was actually quite different though. It was my friend. I had a lot of the designer friends, but I was stubborn back then. I was so interested in digital marketing that and the fact that there were so many people that wanted to do that were doing design around me. I don't know. It just kind of pissed me off that why is everybody doing design? I said it's just so funny to me now that that's what I'm doing for a living.
Actually, I think for me, how I eventually chose design, I started as a developer then. I didn't know what product design was, but
Are you serious?
yeah, I was not really deep, but in the very early stages, I was writing code. But
Yeah.
I paid so much attention in trying. I think there's a message on the chat. I don't know who left that for us. Is that YouTube?
Oh yeah, like two people. Like it was one is from Misha. That was at the time that Dara was saying
Yeah.
he
So at the
likes
time, I
watching.
focused a lot more on the CSS side. I was trying to style things a lot. When it's time to do the back end, I think it was Android Studio. I was trying to build Android apps at the time. So Java, then what's it called now? It's Java, not really CSS. There's a word, it's not really CSS. But I spent a lot of time trying to make it look nice. I enjoyed
Mhm.
that. I had a colleague who doesn't want to make it spend time to make it look nice. He prefers to do the back end work. Like, how do
Oh,
you enjoy that back end work? That's just it
I,
was like you just focus on making it look nice. Me, I enjoy. Okay, I was like, okay, fine. Everybody pick your struggle and basically focus on what you like. So that's how I eventually fell in love with design. I
mhm.
did my research and discovered, oh wow, I can continue with this, and that's how product design became my career path. But anyways, guys, so apologies for this, right? It happens a lot, especially if our guest is sadly to say in Nigeria, right? Because we had a couple of network issues. But one of the things we're looking to do to fix this is
I think it's back.
yeah, our sessions going forward are going to be pre-recorded, so we're not going to have issues like this for our live stream. But yeah, Dara, I don't know, is it network or what happened? What network is there anything you use?
It's raining bad here, so my network is not
Oh,
stable.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, guys. So sorry. So we have Dara back. Like I was saying, so by the grace of God, not really the grace of God. We're planning next year when we resume our sessions. Our sessions are going to be pre-recorded, so it's not going to be live streamed. So you wouldn't have this experience with us. So thanks for hanging in there. Now
That's
that we
great.
have you back, I think I'm going to skip that question because we have spent some time here, our lost time basically. So now let's go
What's
into
the
more
question? Let me
serious.
just answer it briefly.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the question? Can you reiterate the
Yeah, I
question?
wanted to know, like, apart from how basically outside of
Oh yeah,
design,
yeah.
how do you get inspiration to follow your creativity?
Oh yeah. That makes sense. So I my answer was that it's usually reading novels, fictions, right,
Okay.
mostly, and watching movies. I have specific movie directors that I follow in that sense. And the reason is because I was trying to explain that I see design as storytelling, right? Because no matter what we are actually doing is telling a story in a way that is going to be acceptable to people, right? In the buttons you design, in the whole interface, it's business, and people have to be receptive of it for it to actually sell, right? For people to actually pay for your product. Because it's business at the end of the day. There's the business of design, and how people receive it is based on how you tell the story. So usually it's mostly from fiction, and because storytelling is the same. The story might be told in different formats, but stories that captivate, there is a storytelling mechanism for it, right?
Yeah.
The hero, right? The climax and all of that, the
Yeah.
challenge the hero is facing and how you help them to overcome it. I was working on a design recently and we needed to ensure that the drop off rate is reduced. And we had to go into the user's mind basically to understand what could the user be thinking at this point. That's a story. So, I mean, storytelling just helps me in that sense, and I get best stories from the directors that tells the best story, from fictions, African. When I focus on African, when I want to read African stories or learn from the African perspective, I prefer to do African literature than to do Nollywood, right? And then for my movie inspirations, I have specific category of directors that I love their thinking. I mean, one of such is Severance. The guy that put the production lead, right? The production lead spoke at last config. That's the yearly Figma event. I've watched that particular session. It's about 28 minutes. I'm not even exaggerating. I've watched it at least 30 times over and over again, right? Because inspirations are not just you going to mobbing or going to wherever you go to look for screens to inspire you. Inspirations are beyond that. Inspirations are based on the day-to-day thing that we experience, because the people you are designing for are also experiencing these day-to-day things, right? Rather than you crafting, going to mobbing where your users probably never ever going to visit. Why not try to interact with things that they interact with on a day-to-day basis? So that's really my idea for creativity, and actually seeking what I would term creative juice. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. We at some point we may bring you back, but for a different conversation. But I'll leave that seal
Yeah,
until then, right? But I like
yeah,
your thought process and
I
also
would love
your
to
how
be here.
you engage outside design. All right, so
Yeah, thank
the next thing I would like you to share on is how do you, or basically for designers who are looking to build their own products, right? What are some mindsets? So now we're talking about the real stuff because we really want to pick your brain or like learn from you on how you've been able to take Pewbeam AI. I know it's not the first thing you worked on. I've seen other stuff you do like Tweeble and other stuff you talked about
yeah.
on Twitter. But for Pewbeam AI, right? Share like how were you able to, for designers who want to build their own product, what is that mindset they need to have, right? That mindset shift from a designer to now being a builder, right? So like just talk about that a bit.
I mean that's a beautiful question, right? So what mindset? Really, I if you go to my portfolio right now, my website, darashoba.com, you on the header what you will see is building people and building things. Right. And that is because beyond the designer, I see myself as a builder. Right. And personally, I prefer to even work with builders because their mindset is different, right? Their mindset is different. They think as a builder. And when you think as a builder, you're not just thinking about your own parts of the whole building process alone. You are thinking about the whole building. How? Because the plumber, if the plumber should, talking about an actual building now, if the plumber should come around to fix the pipes and all of that, without the building itself being already erected, that is waste of time. Or without the building eventually being completed and people are using it, they could have as well dropped the pipe and just go home, right? So builders think in some of the whole building, not just focusing on the aspects. The same way designers should think about the whole product, not just about okay, I'm designing pictures, and that's why people until lately do not respect designers because some designers majorly only focus about the design, making sure the design looks beautiful and there. But really, the business is beyond that, right? So coming back to answer the question, that was just an introduction. Coming back to answer the question, what mindset should designers who wants to build have? The mindset of a builder. That's the mindset. That's the mindset shift that needs to happen. You need to start thinking as a builder. And what do builders do? Builders solve problems. And when I say solve problems, I'm not saying people are unable banking the unbanked. I'm not talking about solving problems in that sense. I'm even talking about the problems within banking the unbanked, right? Because so I'll talk about two things. The first thing is the mindset of the builder, having the mindset of the builder, which means that when you are building, when you are designing, you are not just thinking about your design, you are thinking about every other aspect of that building the app. You're thinking about the developer, you're thinking about the backend. Even if you are not specialized in those things, you want to have an idea of how they work, right? Some of the things I have learned personally has come from sitting in meetings with developers, right? Some of the things I know about development that has now helped me to be able to build my own thing is not just even from me learning, it's from sitting in calls with developers, it's from sitting in calls with our product marketers, right? To understand what's their thinking process. Because at the end of the day, I saw a particular meme recently. Someone said the developers should be product marketer for a day, something like that, and then come and see if you can sell the rubbish you are building. And it was very funny because because
That's
sometimes we are
actually
actually building rubbish,
yeah.
right? You build rubbish, and then at the end of the day, the CEO is going to be firing the sales people. You are not selling this, right? Bro, what you've built is not sellable. We can't sell this, right? So, but when you are able to understand the different aspect of these stakeholders, you'll be able to be a better builder, right? And that's why I think everybody should try to build something, because it's easy to criticize. It's easy to
Yeah.
say, this and that. This the company closed down. We are doing nonsense. Come and build your own thing. That's when you realize that it's actually much more than sitting on Figma and drawing frames here and there. Because that's what I think about, and that's what user-centered design is really all about. You need to think about the users right from the go, from the time you pick up your mouse or your trackpad, whichever one you love to use. From the very moment you pick it up, you need to start thinking about the users. You need to start thinking like them. That's why the design thinking principles, empathy is there. You need to start putting yourself in the shoes of the users and start thinking what happens to them when they get here, right? If would they be able to click this button? Will they be able to take the action I want them to take? This particular text, this call to action, is he actually speaking to the user? Does it capture what the user needs to do when they click on this button, or does it capture what happens when the user clicks on this button, right? So, but building things helps you put you in that perspective to be able to
Yeah.
do that, right? So the first thing is to have a mindset of a builder, and the second thing is to actually build, right? I used to say this a lot. I am action biased, because I think we learn more from doing than by actually learning, right? So have that mindset, but also try to build something. And building something can be anything. I've seen people build several kind of things. People build design systems, right? People build. I personally, my people build resumes, right? They design resumes and give it out for people to people for free. Let people even experience what you are doing. Don't let it be that the first thing you're building. I think it's very important, because I saw a designer do this recently. I'm like, you are just starting out. You're probably how many years in design, and you're already saying people should come and pay for the resume template you design. Like, bro, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Build something and let people even experience it. You learn a lot. Personally, I mean, there are things I'm building right now that people would have to pay for them to use it. But when I started out building things, I started by building a plugin. And my first plugin was Select Lock, and the second one was Image Colorizer, which currently has, I think, about 43K users and all of that, right? Actual users, human beings are using it. But I did not charge people for any of this, right? And then I think the first time I was charging people for something was the course I put out earlier this year, right? To learn how to build plugins, right? And I say all of this because when you put a paywall behind what you are building, especially if it's the first thing you are building, you are not allowing yourself to grow. Because when you build something, especially if you're just starting out, people use it and they give you feedback. And that feedback actually helps you to grow to become a better builder, because there is a building mentality, as we've talked about earlier. It's something that you develop over a period of time. And you learn this by doing. But if people don't get to experience what you are building, they wouldn't be able to give you feedback that is going to help you to become a better builder, to take you to the point where you are going to eventually be able to build something that people will be willing to pay for. So once again, have a builder's mindset and build something. And the caveat for building something is the first couple of things you're going to build, try to make it easy for people to use. Either by, if you absolutely have to charge, which I don't think the first thing you're going to build, you should absolutely charge for it. Make it something small. It might be you building, like I said, like a resume template. It might be you building a design system. It might it might be that you built just a button component, right? It might be anything. Building something doesn't have to be something big that everybody has to know about. 10 people are using what you're building, that's fine. They're able to give you feedback on what they are building, that's fine. But until you go, there's something this joke we usually crack in development, right? When the reality on your local host, the fact that it's working on your local computer does not mean it's going to
I
work
mean,
in
it's working for the client.
prod.
Yeah.
So be happy that it's working on your computer, but don't get to the climax of your happiness until your product is actually working in prod, in the production environment where people are
Yeah.
using it, right? So I think those are a few things I'll just share on that subject.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think from when you were just speaking, but just like a domino effect, right? So like you were just hitting a couple other questions we would have spoken of. So yeah, that
Uh,
basically helps us to keep to time, right? So when
Nice.
you made mention of the importance of building stuff, I just remembered MKBHD, right? Because of course that's what it does, review
Yeah.
products. And the first one he built, so I think one of the products he built was an app to wallpaper app, and he got a lot of criticism for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Raphael.
It was so bad.
So yeah, the emphasis on actually building stuff because it's actually easy to draw people. Like it's actually easy to be a
Well,
cool.
I think this MKC, we are not dragging you. We are
No,
just
no, no.
citing an example, case
I
study,
just give an
just case.
example, yeah. But when you're actually in the football field to play, you realize that's a different experience entirely. So there, thank you so much. All right. So the
Yeah,
next,
that's
the
actually
next,
a perfect example. That's a perfect example because I mean
yeah,
I can remember vividly how it was being tracked, and then I didn't even think about this when I was saying what I said. It charged for it. It was
yeah,
asking people to pay for
it
that
match it
wallpaper
fit
app,
exactly into your
and that's one
account.
of the things that got people pissed the most. It means directly because when you are building your first thing and then you're asking people to come and pay, I think it was like $5. I mean, he had the audience,
five
people who
dollars
would
though.
are
It was
willing
more
to pay if it
expensive,
was.
oh. And then
One
he
plus
wanted to take that
one
data.
plus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was doing.
Okay,
It was
this is
crazy.
not about MPA PhD. So it would be good if we trend because of that, anyways. But yeah, we are going to allow for
Yeah,
this. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So Dara, so when I first saw you putting out stuff you build, right, and I also have heard you. I was at UDC where we met, and you spoke about
yeah, yeah.
AI agents and all. At a point, I got the what's it called now? The notion that you were vibe coding at some point, but recently it's beginning to seem it's not that. Right, because I'm wondering how you can build a product like Pewbeam AI and just vibe code it. So, like, can you share a bit? Like, what's your? I think I saw one of your tweets where you were like, "Would you stop calling it vibe coding?" So, I want to hear your opinion. Right, like, okay, in the journey so far, how
Yeah.
far you've come with Pewbeam AI, did you vibe code at some point? What level it took you? And also generally, what's your thoughts and opinion when it comes to vibe coding for designers, basically?
All right, all right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Personally, one thing I love to do is to try as much as possible to set people's expectation right. And this is what I mean. Because there's a way you can say something that you give people the wrong impression, that when they are now trying to do the same thing, they are not getting the same results, it's going to seem as though you've given them a fluke. So this is going to be a disclaimer session while also answering your question. So yeah, my yeah, I vibe code. Let's put it that way. Even though I don't like the term vibe coding, because I wrote an article. The sad part about the article is the fact that I said the opening statement in the article was me saying that I don't like the term vibe coding. But you know what the title of the article is? Vibe coding. So, but I had to do that because the thing is, if somebody is searching to code with AI, what are they
Yeah,
going to
I
search?
get it.
Vibe
Like,
coding. So I had to follow the
yeah,
keyword like let me give people what they want. So I literally gave people what they want. Right. So back to the question. So yeah, building Pewbeam and the things are built, right? Mostly are built. I think about 6 Figma plugins that have one of them clocked 1,000 users yesterday. The interesting about that particular plugin is because when I built it, it was just fun. I did not think people are going to find a use case for it. It was just something I needed, and that is something about building. Always start from something you need,
and yeah,
right? Something that meets your need. Always start from it. If you don't need it, I think it's a fluke for you to imagine that someone out there is going to need it, right? So much later, maybe in your building journey, you might build things for exploratory purposes, right? That other people would find useful. But the first couple of things that you are going to build, I think it's a better position to be if you build something that would be useful to you. That's just by the way. But coming back to vibe coding, so those all of those Figma plugins, right? It 90% of the code for those Figma plugins was written by AI. And interestingly, this was as far back as last year when not much was being done. Really, there has been much more improved models since then. I
yeah,
think since then, Claude has released their Sonnet 4 and Sonnet 4.5, which are much better. So at the time, I had to now go back into the code. Well, for the front end, I was literally writing the front end myself at the time. That was last year. And then only the logic for the plugin was written by AI. And I still have to go in to guide it right here and there. Coming back to Pewbeam AI and the other app I've built this year, which is Twibu. Twibu, for people who don't know, Twibu.app, you can check it out. It's for matching people for a restaurant. Just I called it Tinder for restaurants. So you're going to eat and you don't know where to go. All you have to do is come on Twibu, invite the person you are going out with or the people you are going with, select the area in which you want to eat, and Cubim just returns restaurant to you in form of cards. that all of you can swipe through in an interesting way. And when you swipe, when there's a 75% towards a particular decision, you get that particular place as the selected location which you should go. So it just helps to make decision easier for a group of people, and also help people to discover new places to eat, basically. And I built that. I think I would say for that, like 60% of the code was written by AI. So once again, just to summarize what I'm going to say really. So it's been a mix of vibe coding. Once again, I don't like that word because, like I said in that tweet to reference, there's nothing vibe about vibe coding. It's a lot of stress, right? And especially if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why to be able to vibe code effectively, that's why I like the question you asked earlier about building. Building has to come before coding. It's wanting to be a builder, it's wanting to be a developer. There are a lot of developers out there that cannot build things because they don't just have it in them to build things, right? Being able to write code, being able to design is different from being able to build. Being a builder is something very entirely, and that's why you will have the Sam Altman of this world leading the AI race, and then he himself is not that technical. I said that technical because he has technical background, right? He's not writing the code, but he's leading the direction of AI in the world. From my perspective, he's literally doing that. OpenAI started the recent wave of AI as we know it. Before
Yeah.
OpenAI was AI, all AI was chatbots and all of that. And
Yeah.
so there are developers working under him, engineers, researchers that cannot build. So being able
True.
to build is different from being able to develop, which is why for you to build something, you need to build the builder's mentality first before even talking about the code. Writing code is, I mean, very soon AI will be able to do everything. So what would matter is if you can actually think as a builder and actually build something. So for me, it's been a mix of my experience as a builder, my experience with development, and using the AI models and tools that are currently available to actually build something. So it's been all of that. So can you build something? Maybe the question to answer is, can you build something purely by vibe coding? Yeah, 100%. Would it be able to? Will you be able to put it out without? I don't think we are there right now where you can
Okay.
build something 100%, push it to production, and it's going to work effectively. Models have improved. Like I personally have been writing code with AI as early as the first half of last year. It's been over a year with Cursor and the likes. I was probably one of the early Cursor users from this side of the world. So I know what I'm saying when I talk about these models. Are we there yet? I think we are still very far. But right now, can you use it for something worthwhile that you're going to get something back from it? I think yes. I've trained people on how to do this. I saw somebody that have and held on some processes, talking about him building a plugin over the night. And I think when you are building, always start small. Start from something you need that you can easily build. That's how I started. I started from building Figma plugins, building the easy ones, to going to build the difficult ones. Then I went on to build a web app. Right now, Pewbeam AI is a desktop app. Right, I just installed Xcode on my computer, I think 2 days ago. I'm going to, from Pewbeam AI, Pewbeam AI is going to, I think this is the first way I'll be saying it. Pewbeam AI is going to have a mobile app, and the mobile app is going to have native, it's going to be developed natively to the OS. Android will be Kotlin, and
Yeah.
then the iOS app will be Swift, right? So what I'm trying to say in essence is just take it step by step.
Yeah.
Now, when I started PBM AI is majorly written in Rust, right? The backend is Rust, basically. And then when I started, I had no clue what Rust is. But right now, I can write few lines to actually I can write functions in Rust, majorly by coding with AI and learning along the way. So when you code with AI, don't just also just let it write the code for you. All you are doing is clicking accept, 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 accept. I when the guy is done, if the guy makes a decision, I always ask, why did you decide to go this way? And some of the time you realize that the guy actually went the wrong way, made the wrong decision that is going to affect performance along the line, right?
Mm.
So it's not, don't just take it like a dummy. Don't be a dummy and AI is better than you. The AI is a predictive model. It's literally making predictions, and which sometimes might be wrong, which we
Yeah.
generally regard as hallucination, right? So you're
Yeah.
human, there be the human factor. You know what happens in the real world. This guy definitely do not, because human experience is not a straight uh is not straight, basically, right? Human experience is zigzag. Today you think, oh, I know this, right? And tomorrow you don't know it. Today you feel like, I know how humans behave. I'm good with interpersonal relationship. Tomorrow you meet a very crazy person and you're like, I don't know anything, right? So it's different. AI is just prediction and it's one way for us humans. What you think you know today, tomorrow the reality might be different. There are just some things in the real world that you cannot predict. You build a product, you can't predict how the user is going to accept it. Can you prepare for some things? Yes, quite all right. So the summary of what I'm trying to say is that is vibe coding enough? No. Is vibe coding going to help you a lot? Right now, most of the codes I write, and I also even build things that I build things that people are using, like on the web. I've worked on clients' projects that they are using, right? I've contributed to my company's code base, right? Just from vibe coding, right?
Yeah.
So there are things I've built that actual users are using is working in production. I mean, I don't I'm not even regarding I'm not even talking about Pewbeam AI now because I mean Pewbeam AI is currently in alpha. We're just testing ourselves within churches and all of that. But vibe coding can do a lot right now. What you can do alongside is to go back to what we said earlier about building builders mindset in
Yeah.
builders, right? And the other thing is now to ensure that when you're even coding with AI, learn along the line. Don't just be a
Yeah.
dummy. That the question you ask the AI today, you are coming back tomorrow to ask it. At the point, like, what why are you doing, bro? You asked me this yesterday, right? So you want to be better than that, basically. So thank you.
Cool. 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 Thank you so much. I'm absorbing a lot because I'm actually building the product myself. Then I think something
Oh,
you really
nice.
said that hit me was the fact that you have to learn along the journey. So don't just be the person that just accepts. And I think a question we're going to talk about, like ask you to just share your opinion on is if designers should learn how to code. But you basically hit the nail on the head by saying that learn if you are going to build stuff with AI, learn along the way. So you're basically saying learn how to code, maybe not so much, but know what is the code is saying or what's being shown out to you. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's important. So that when the AI is giving you something that does not make sense, like I said earlier, you can be
yeah.
able to stop it along its track. Hey, stop! I know what you are doing. That's nonsense. This is what you should do.
I know
Right?
what they're
It's
doing.
just better.
Cool.
The better CEOs are people that have an idea of the different aspect of their companies, right? Such that when the
Mhm.
sales guy is saying something that does not make sense, you can say, no, 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 that's nonsense. When the
Mhm.
designer is saying something, this is not possible, that's nonsense. I work with developers. Developers will come, I'll make an animation. Developers will come and they'll be like, this is not possible. I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? This is possible. And I can call them out on that because I know that they are
Yeah,
doing it.
I think Dara is frozen. But in all he said, I think the foundation for me is the builder's mindset, right? When he talked about the fact that not all engineers can build, they can write the code, they can actually build stuff when guided. But if left alone as engineers to build stuff, not all engineers. So the fact that you know how to build doesn't mean you can build, but or you the fact that you're an engineer doesn't mean you can build, right? So being a builder is a different skill set. It's more like a soft skill, right? And I think they basically there's a term for it called operators. Yeah, but so much insight Dara is sharing. We have just a few more areas to talk about, and I think a couple of the things we wanted Dara to share, as he just explains, is just hitting them on the part on different parts basically. So as a designer, you should learn how to code, have a knowledge of code, especially if you are going to build stuff, right? And with the AI tools we have today with Claude, with ChatGPT, with Gemini, you can learn how to program very fast. So when you're using Cursor, for instance, and it's writing code, you can understand what functions mean. If it's doing something that is not so good or something that's going in a different direction, you can call it into order. So that makes a lot of sense for me. All right. And also, I think the next thing I want him to just share on is collaboration with developers. Right. So I don't know, let's see if we have the time, but basically as a designer, if you know how to code, it will help your collaboration with developers. But I want him to share like building Pewbeam AI, how is this collaboration with developers on, and also speed. Speed is very important because I noticed that Pewbeam AI from the time that Dara tweeted to now, there's been a lot of improvements and progress, right? So I also want him to share on how he was able to, or how he has been able to ensure that the quality of the product is good, even though it's still in beta phase, but also is able to deliver speedily as a designer, right? So because I don't know, Raphael, but since I've been working on Sovel, right, one thing I've noticed is as designers, in as much as we are understanding the need for MVP, there's still this obsession about the fact that even though what you are releasing is very small, you want the experience to still be good, or you want it to still look nice. So I know, yes, be crappy, put stuff out there, test the idea, but there's this part of being a designer that will not allow you or allow me just put any rubbish out there. Right. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
want
just
that
have
to
to
just share like
confess
how
because
are
of
you
how
able
I've been,
to said
you just start to confess because I've been putting pressure on you that you should put stuff.
right. Like so there's this I think somebody was just like close your eyes and just put things out there.
See, what I've learned, you know what's funny? So you and I have like a mutual place where we done stuff together, right? Being in that place, right? In that our mutual organization we worked in together, right? Has made me because that place is so obsessed with because they are so obsessed with tiny details before getting things out. The more I do things there, the more I have the how should I put it, the need or the urgency to actually do things smaller and just put anything out there first and test. Not anything, but like something that something that makes sense that I know that okay, this is MVP. I realize that sometimes you could obsess over the wrongest details. Sef. You could literally design a keyboard, right, and then put it out there, and then your users are using it as a ironing board, but that's what it works at. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
You might
get
not
you.
even know what your you might not even know what exactly how users may use your product until you put it out there. There's different use cases for everything. Which is why I really admire the guys behind Notion. Do you listen to those guys? Have you listened to the CEO speak about how he built it? See, those guys that made me understand something when designing a product learn about like they learn about how computers work first. That's always a go-to explanation. Learn why computers were built, learn why digital products were built, and then from there you understand how things work and why things work the way they do. You now get to understand that you cannot get to your perfect market fit or your perfect products through doing it once. More and more, I'm starting to understand that some like okay, for instance, now one of the reasons like we have a perfect example. I think Dara Jodadi, I've been following his story with Pewbeam very closely. I saw that he like tested with a live audience in church, a very popular church by the way, CCI, right? Which was interesting. And then some things didn't work properly, but he's getting live feedback. People are seeing it. People won't even mind. You understand that this is a test, and he's telling the story as he goes. Like he's actually telling a story, which is another important part. So you see all those, trying to do the and thankfully when at an age where you can iterate quickly, you get so
Yeah.
especially with vibe coding. I know that Dara wants to he wants to beat me, but vibe coding, right? You can quickly make changes. So it's actually a blessing, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't like have a certain like base level to say, yo, this is something that actually makes sense for now enough for the market, right? I'm not saying you should just put everything
Yeah.
out there. Of course, you should do our homework, but yeah.
No, I get you completely. I think since I put Sovo out there, right? Even though we don't have the actual products, like I put the call for people to join the wait list, I've gotten quite a number of feedback, quite a number of thoughts, and discoveries that ordinarily, if I were still somewhere in my cubicle or somewhere off the internet building stuff, I would not have thought of it, right? And I'm doing a lot of testing and feedback basically with designers, right? Just running. So I'm doing a lot of user research even though I'm still working on it. But this is just even because I put out a waiting list out there. So imagine if I did not put out anything and I'm just building, right? For the interesting story, I have like lots of Figma designs of the initial direction I wanted to go with Servo. But now, because I put out the wait list and I've gotten feedback from a number of persons, I'm realizing that I need to adjust directions, right? So the importance of putting stuff out there, no matter how small, is very, very, very important. Raphael, I can't see you right now. Can you see me?
I can see you. I can see you clearly. I can hear you.
My Riverside UI is showing me I can see just myself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reload. So just give me a minute. Let me reload in case Dara joins in back. But if he's unable to join, we'll just do a recap. I think I've learned a lot here. But let me just reload in a few seconds and I'll be back here. I don't
Okay.
know what's going on with Riverside right now. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I can see you now. So I think all my let me check my RAM. I think my RAM is good. I don't know. So Dara said it was raining heavily where he was or where he currently is streaming from or joining from basically. So the network is not so great. But so far so good. If you have been following us since we started, you've noticed you'd have realized that this session has been very insightful. Dara has not held back sharing his journey and also recommendations for how to build stuff if you're a designer. I think one of the things he said was that you need to actually build stuff in little chunks. So don't just obsess about building a very. I think that's quite related to what you said, Raphael. Don't just obsess about building something really large. Build something small, put it out there, then continue from there. Then also, you talked about the fact that your first product or your first feature, whatever you're building, do not put it behind the paywall because how then will people give you feedback? So that is very, very important. I think we have Dara back now. I can see your video is trying to come on. So I don't know. I'm not sure what we'll be able to keep up with your 1 hour request because of these glitches here and there with network. So we're going to go a bit over time, but we have just a few things, topics, subtopics basically to talk about. Largely, to a large extent, we have covered a lot of grounds because while Dara has been trying to explain, he has spoken into or spoken about a couple other topics we wanted him to just share on. So very few things that if he comes back is going to share. So let me just run you through a couple of things that Dara was going to share if he comes back. He's going to talk about like designer developer collaboration, especially when it comes to building something like Pewbeam AI. Right? We know that Pewbeam AI is not really a company yet. So like how is Dara collaborating with designer and developers? Is it vibe coding, getting a developer to build other aspects, or is building everything by himself? We'd also like him to share on that. Then also what are some early mistakes that he made while trying to ship his first products or even ship Pewbeam AI, right? So love Dara to share on that, some mistakes he made, and also what that of course how we can avoid those mistakes or anybody who's building stuff. What else? So those are like two things. One is collaboration with developers, especially when it comes to Pewbeam AI. The second is mistakes to avoid when building your first product or when building product. Then I think taking a product from idea to product or taking an idea from actual design to product, the journey, lessons along the way. I think those three majorly should be sufficient for us. Yeah, Dara, good to have you back. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? I
Yeah,
can
I can
see
hear
you.
you.
Let
Can
me
you hear me?
the largest. Okay.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
So yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Welcome back. So I was saying that we will not be able to keep up with your 1 hour request because the network we lost time to the times you've been on and off. So please
That's fine.
let's extend a bit.
The the rain is crazy. It's affecting my network and all.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You use Starlink.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Understandable. Okay, so we have just 3 or 4
But
things to just
what
talk
did you
about.
say?
He said,
I, let's just keep up. I did not hear what the last thing you said.
okay, never mind, don't worry. Let's continue. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to share on is like what are some mistakes that you made when trying to ship your first plugin or product, right? And what would you have done better, right? For so basically, we're looking at designers who are looking to build stuff, right? So the benefit of us having you is that you have actually built something, right? So what are some mistakes you made that you think if you had known better, you would not have made them?
Yeah, thank you for the question. What are the mistakes I made? The first thing would be trying to do too much, basically, right? Trying to do too much. That would be it. So, because sometimes when you are building something, priority is important. So, the first thing I built, I really wanted to do a lot. I wanted to achieve a lot within the plugin. I wanted a lot to happen. And then because of the kind of person I am, where I pay a lot of attention to details and I obsess over the details, right? So I wanted to ensure that everything was in place before I go live. And I wanted all of the features that I had imagined that I wanted to have to also be present before I go live. And one thing I realized is that, as I had mentioned earlier, the there's a lot the market tells you when you go live. There's a lot of things that you assumed that is going to be possible while you're developing in your room, wherever you're developing in your own cocoon, let me put it that way, where nobody's using it. There are some assumptions that you're going to make that are not any reflection of what actually happens in real life. So the
Yeah.
earlier you get your product out, the better it is. Anything you are building, really, the earlier you get it out, the better it is, such that you can get feedback from people rather, and the it does not necessarily have to be that you are going live. That's why we have alpha in the whole going live thing. There are people are even creating new ones, but we have the alpha testing, we have the beta testing, and all of that. There's a lot of testing that people do just to get a feel of what people think about what they are building. I'm not saying build something and go live immediately. I'm saying as you are building, as far as you have the basic functionality, which we usually refer to as MVP, minimum viable product, as
Yeah.
early as you have
Okay. Dara is off again. Not a good day to have this session, but it's been really insightful. I think the question around um sharing his journey from taking Pewbeam AI from very concept stage to now what it is today. I think we're going to skip that because from what he just shared now and also what he's been sharing or talking about is the fact that you need to build in small chunks, right, and also test with the market. So that is what he has been doing with Pewbeam AI. If you check this journey, also follow on Twitter and LinkedIn, right? So it's been putting it out there, little iterations, little tests, and making progress. So that basically sums up his journey on how you should take an idea from concept to live product. So that basically speaks to that. I think the what we need him to share if he comes back is around collaboration. Pewbeam AI, like to what extent does he collaborate with other developers in building it? Then talking about the mistakes, like you shared, quite related to what I said earlier, that he was trying to do a lot initially, but he realized that the doing little and putting it out there is better because you get feedback faster and you are sure it's easy for you to course correct in your direction because you may be just obsessing over something like Raphael said that in markets what's it on the reality in the realities of the market or in the market's reality or in the market space. I don't know what to use. It may not really resonate, right? So yeah. So when Dara is back, you just tell us like how does he collaborate with developers in building, or is he just by coding, or because he has developer experience in building AI? What other thing can we talk about? Because we are basically
Fun
out
fact,
of
yeah.
time. Is it?
Fun fact. Fun fact
Mhm.
there. For me, what made me really start designing better when collaborating with with developers, like trying understanding how they build was actually designing on Webflow. Okay, okay. I think that is back.
Yeah, Dara, can you subsequently we are not going to be having live sessions. That's we've had lots of network glitches with our guests. So one of the things we're doing moving forward next year is our sessions are going to be pre-recorded so that our listeners don't have this experience. But I know you're not happy about it, but I'm just saying that it's not just you. It has happened before now, so something we have to be fixed for. So let's continue. Yeah.
uh, I've tried using this is let me say I've tried I use MTN, I use Airtel routers, and I think because of the rain, I don't know what's going on. I've
All
been
of them.
switching here and there. What I just did now is to restart everything, restarted my computer, restarted the routers and everything. I think things should be better. Let's hope so. But it
Okay.
feels better currently from my end.
Okay. Do you remember
Yeah.
what you were talking about
So
before?
I think I was
Yeah.
what was I talking about?
I don't know.
Just
Okay.
remind me the question. I'll go back into the groove.
So you were talking about the need to not do a lot, like we are trying to do a lot starting out, but you
Thank
realize
you
that
very much. I remember. What's the
yeah,
mistake? What's the mistake I've made building
yeah,
product? Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically go to the market as early as possible. I think that's the advice. Go to the market as early as possible because that's where you get real live users who would be able to test and give you feedback. There are some of the things that you are building that in the actual market it's not going to work. So the earlier you test and you get to know about this, the better, so that you don't spend a lot of effort. And in cases where you're spending money, you don't spend a lot of money building something that people are not going to use. For big companies like Google, they can do that. There is even a website out there that makes a list of the good product that has failed, right? But they have the money. For them is research and development. But if you don't have that, basically, you should go to the market and test as early as possible so that you can get feedback and make improvements where necessary. That's the mistake I've made
Okay.
because I've had to go back to the drawing board a couple of times to improve. On Pewbeam AI, for example, our first test, let me use that as an our first test was messy. I went after the first test. I've not said this anywhere. Nobody knows about this because these are the gruesome part of building that nobody knows about, right? Our first test, after our first test, I literally went offline for like 5 days. I was not online. I was not online anywhere because it was crazy. There are some things. Yeah, it's funny, but there are some things that we did not prepare for, and then wanted to go live, and the test was very messy. When big companies do that live demo and then it does not work. There's one particular. Just I'm going to wrap up here. Just my soccer at the time was based on what happened to Facebook, I think 2 weeks before our first test. So they were testing this their glasses,
Yeah, they are
and
glass.
then at the end of the day, it did not work. Yeah, and then Zuckerberg had to say, okay, our Wi-Fi, I think it's our Wi-Fi because this thing worked perfectly in production, something like that. I remember that I was like, it's not Wi-Fi. It's not Wi-Fi, right? But those are things that happens with live demo and all of that.
Yeah.
So there were some things that I added as part of the features. That was when I was doing the first test with actual users because I'm building something for projectionists. But the truth is that I used to be a projectionist, but that was 4 years ago. I do not understand the current realities of projectionists. It was until the first time that one of them got to use it that I realized that some of the things I had built was rubbish. Really, there was a point in time that I even had to. I was aiming for. I think this is important. I was
Okay.
aiming for the the period between when the pastor or the preacher speaks to when the projection comes up. I was aiming for under 2 seconds. But the first build I did, which was on, I'm disclosing all of this because I think it's going to be helpful. The first build I released, which was built on Electron, right, could not achieve that. I was getting the best I could do at the time was like over seven, it was around 7-10 seconds. I kept optimizing, nothing was happening. It was until I did a demo, I was testing, I realized that this is trash. And I had to go back, deleted the code base. I literally go back home and then I deleted the code base. I deleted everything. Right now, later on, I felt like I should have just archived it. But I was so pissed off that I deleted everything. But these are part of the building process that nobody gets to hear about, right? I
Yeah.
believe this is not just an experience that is particular to me. I believe some other builders have also experienced similar things in their own way. So, but the point is just that don't sit down in your room in your nice, comfy, ergonomic chair and saying you are building for the world. You want to make the world a better place. Take it to the world. Let the world use it. Let them tell you if you're actually making the world a better place, and do that as early as possible. That's the one mistake I have made. That's the biggest mistake I've made that I have learned from
Yeah.
that I'm probably never going to make it again. Now, for every feature I'm building, I'm testing it with someone. For every feature, I'm saying, please come and check this. It might not be. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. I think that disclaimer is very important. It doesn't have to be a lot of people, right? It can be 2 people, 3 people. It can be a focus group. But the point is, don't build. You are not building for yourself. So look for the people you are building for. There's something we have in design that is called the user personnel.
Yeah.
Look for people that fit your user personnel. Test with them as early as possible. Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we just have we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. So one thing I would like you to share on is PBMA. I don't if you don't want to share, it's fine. All right. From so far, is this something you are building? I know you have developer experience. So are you building all this by yourself, or you have a team who's with you? So you do design, a bit of code, and you have engineers also with you. So you're doing everything yourself. So like basically, I'm trying to test how far
You know,
someone with an idea can go solo or with a team, basically.
yeah, thank you for that question. No, the interesting thing, up until a week ago, I was building alone. So everything you've seen, anything that the team, so I basically just put together. I think we are currently a team of four. Yeah, I currently just put together just a developer, a products person who have an understanding of how the projection world works, because there's a lot of technical details that needs to be taken care of. And that's
Yeah,
because we have one big event coming where the software is going to be used that we are preparing for, right? So the system needs to be optimized and stabilized for that purpose. So the point is, everything you have seen online from the beginning till now, I built it all alone as a solo developer. The design side, the development side, it was all me. Anything that we are building currently, you've not seen it. Maybe you are going to see it tomorrow because I have another test tomorrow, right? But yeah, so far it's
yeah,
been me. But right now, I'm trying to build a structure around the team
yeah.
to ensure that we have a stable system,
Okay.
because you people see just the 2 seconds when you project, but there's a lot happening in the
Behind it.
background.
Yeah.
So to ensure that that system is stabilized and optimized, currently I have just one developer and another more experienced product person. The product person definitely has an experience on the product, like knows in and out of how that system works, and then some design and development experience also, and then a project manager to just ensure that all the people within the team can work effectively together.
All right, thank you so much. So we're wrapping up. This is the final part. Then you can share anything. I don't know anything you want to promote. Pewbeam AI, anything else. But Pewbeam AI, I don't know. It's gotten a lot of PR, so I don't know if you want to promote it anymore. But anyway, so the last thing I wanted to share on is
Yeah,
so basically what's in terms of opportunities, I think you share stuff. So I know you soon be traveling to Japan to speak. So I think that's one opportunity that Pewbeam has given you, or the product has brought to you. Then also the publication featuring by Tekabao. So lots of people. I think I saw one. Is it Tech Connect? I saw one recently. You posted on LinkedIn, right?
yeah. I
So
mean, there are just a number of
a
here
number
and there.
a lot of them. So I'm going to skip that opportunities. You can talk about it, I'm going to skip that. So the part I just want you to share on, like, so like what's next for you? Any new projects, experiments you should be looking out for, or you just want to lock in on Pewbeam AI and just see how far you can go with this? Then also, how can people connect with you to learn more about? I know it's Twitter, but I just want to hear you say it. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all right. Let me go this way.
Okay.
I mean, Pewbeam AI, there's a lot that needs to be done, because the work of a builder is not done until people start using what you've built. The work of a builder is not done until people start living in the building. So definitely, even if I'm going to do any other thing, it's very important for me that we put this out there, because there are people that are already looking forward to this. There are people that believe strongly that this could revolutionize the way they interact with their faith, the way they come to learn about God. Because I mean, Pewbeam AI is for people who don't know what Pewbeam AI is, it's basically a software a, that helps. So currently, what people use is different, but with this, it's just an AI agent that helps people to be able to learn better when they are in churches. So what it does is that as the pastor is preaching, or as the preacher is speaking, Pewbeam AI listens to the sermon, transcribes it, and runs it through a system to search for the scripture that best match what the pastor is speaking on, and puts it on the screen. Or when the pastor himself asks for a particular verse of the Bible, the AI agent is intelligent enough to know that and put it up on the screen. So under 2 seconds. So there's currently a frustration that pastor experience where they are saying they sometimes they even say, "Media, please, where's it?" Like they ask him, "Put it up. I need this." And sometimes it breaks the flow. Just imagine when you are presenting. I think the closest that anybody would be able to get touch with is when presenting, and then you have to say, "Next slide, please." Next slide, please. And then it's breaking your flow. Personally, I don't like doing it. There was a place I spoke at recently, and then they told me that there's no clicker. That's what speakers use to nest
Yeah.
and do previews for the slides, right? They told me that there's no clicker. And I just had to tell them, you know what? Just follow me. Just follow me. And as I so I said, just follow me. Sorry. Just
Yeah.
follow me. And at the time you feel you need to push the slide, just push it because it's a lot of distraction when you have to do next slide, please, next slide, please. So the similar fashion for preachers and pastors is having to say, I'm waiting for the scripture. Where's the scripture? Media, please. It breaks the flow. And then sometimes I've seen the frustration firsthand, right? And then it just built this to help solve that problem. And I think it's doing that very well, actually. So until going back to where I started, until people are able to use this product, able to experience it. Right now we have thousands of people on our wait list. Just a
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. So apparently when Dara joins back, when he joins back, I'll just answer up and let him continue. But we're wrapping up. Okay, you're back here.
Yes, sorry, I'm back. So I was saying that until the product is out there, live for people to use, our work is not done.
Okay.
Right. So until then, I'll know what the next thing is. Well, I currently have a number of things that I'm building. And then once again, I think one thing that is important, the you talked about something, I just wanted to put some perspective to it, especially as I think it might help people to know. People talk about putting yourself out there, and I think it's very important when we're speaking about it, getting the opportunity to speak to a group of designers in Japan and all of
Yeah.
that. The interesting thing is that the person that reached out was not even because of Pewbeam AI, it was even because of the plugins I built. Because
Wow.
I had noticed, I did not even know. I under the tweet I posted something. Another I don't know if the person is Japanese, so I'm just going to say another Japan resident who is doing
Yeah.
things, some things in design, leading a design group in Japan, reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, "I'm looking forward to you speaking at this event." And interesting thing is that when the person reached out, Tokyo Design Forum has not even put out the banner yet. So it means the person saw it maybe from whatever is happening within the Japanese
Japan.
space already. And the person just decided to connect on LinkedIn and reached out. And so I'm going somewhere. I made a tweet months ago. I realized within 2 days there were a lot of Asian people using my image colorizer now, Japanese and Chinese mostly. And how could I tell from the name? You would always be able to tell from the name. So I could tell from the name because um, Figma don't show you a lot of statistics about your plugin usage. All you get to see is how many people are using it, how many people used it this week, and the names of the people that are using it. And you don't see all the names, you just see a few of the names.
Yeah.
Just like you see on Twitter, this person and 20 others. So I noticed that there were a lot of Japanese and Chinese people using the plugin. I was like, what's going on? I made a tweet about this. I'm going to check it out. I made a tweet to say that what's going on with my plugin? I'm having a lot of Japanese and all of that. So apparently, some of these people who are using the plugin are already able to match the plugin to who I am. So the plugin is an entity. I'm an entity, but be able to match it together. So it was based on the tools I've built, which has majorly been Figma plugins, which I've been sharing online over and over again, and all of that. And the partnership I had with Figma sometimes this year also was also based off that. So it was just about building things and putting it out there for people to see. And this building PBMA has been a surreal experience for me because this is the first thing I think I'll be building in public. And I've even gotten to learn about building public from this because when I said the first thing I was going to build in public, I did not imagine this is what it meant. I just what I meant was okay, I wanted to build this and then I'll be sharing the progress online. But it's been an amazing experience building online, especially in this case, getting people's opinion, getting people's support as much as I've gotten it. It's just
Yeah.
amazing together. So what I would say in regards to that is as you build, right, that paywall all over again. I love that the example you brought up earlier. But that paywall all over what I shared earlier was even based on my own personal experience. I didn't even think about a real life experience of someone else that I could use to buttress the point. But the first couple of things that I'm going to do, let people experience it. because there is no beauty of building something if people cannot use it. When I build Twibo,
Yeah.
Twibo is currently free, and I'm spending a lot of money, not a lot of money, relatively well for me, it's a lot of money, but I'm spending money to keep Pewbeam running currently.
Yeah.
But I'm not charging anybody for it. I'm going to do that sometimes. But the thing is that Mark Zuckerberg, for example, did not make money off of his best first product that he launched. Uh, Steve Jobs did not do that. Elon Musk did not do that, right? Because
Mm.
you build, as you build a product, you also need to build credence. People need to be able to look back to say you've built this. Right now, people can talk about Pewbeam, they can talk about Twitter because that's not the first thing I'm building, I'm putting out there. So people are not shocked, and we don't even know how it's going to look like. If you question me, what's Pewbeam? I will refer you to the things I've built. Go and check it out. You see that I built solid stuff, right? So it's very important that when you build stuff like that and then you have the credence and you now build something that you want to charge for, people can go back to it and say, oh yeah, he built this, we used it for free, something. I have people right now that are willing to put their money down to use Pewbeam AI, that they are just give it to us. We're ready to pay. Somebody, or some of, if you read through the comments on some of my tweets, just tell me where it is, where are we downloading, where are we paying? I'm ready for this. I don't. So it's quite interesting to see that kind of response, right?
Wow. Thank you so much. So I'm not going to summarize the whole of the session. I'm just going to talk about summarize this last bit, but no more questions. But we're just wrapping up right now. So
Are we
thank you
done with the
so much.
questions you had in mind?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I
Are we
said,
done with the
like I
questions in
said
mind
earlier,
again?
as you speak, you touch on other questions that we would have spoken about. So right now, I think we're done. So I just want to
Yeah.
highlight a couple of things that the last things you shared just hit, or maybe just covered. So one of the things you talked
All
about
right.
was not necessarily, but I think for designers, this is a call for us to look at legacy systems. So there are a lot of tools we use in church, at work, right? That we as people have sort of basically gotten used to them, right? Personally, like today, I work with the
Mm-hmm.
media team in my church, and some of the tools we use, the experience is not so good, but it works, and people use them. But designers, we can start looking at things like that. Like, how can we? Dara has shown us that we can actually build something that can be that useful, right? So let's not just say, okay, let me just call one, right? It's quite relatable. That is, let's say easy worship, for instance. Like it's clunky, right? That they're clunky, but let's not just accept it. We can actually make them better. And Dara has shown us that we have that power. Then also for designers who are scared that AI is taking your job, I know that narrative is beginning to change because now you are seeing that if you are just a designer who wants to consume, you may be at risk, really. But if you're a designer who wants to build, who wants to contribute, right? AI is not, I cannot take your job because basically you're thinking of how you can leverage AI, how you can contribute, how you can build stuff, right? We need more of you and not just consumers. So as designers, don't be scared AI. Don't even think about it. Just think of what can you do. And I think I saw something, an image somebody posted that AI took my job to the next level, right? So AI is supposed to take your job to the next level, but that is if you are a builder, if you are someone who wants to contribute and not just someone who wants to consume. Then also build stuff. Build stuff. I think particularly what you shared about the fact that I think in largely a lot of persons will think that me too. Pewbeam AI gave you the exposure and Tokyo design community called to come speak. But from what you even said now, it wasn't even that. It's because of other stuff you built. I think I've seen instances where somebody built something in Nigeria and their user base is somewhere in India, somewhere in Brazil, right? So when you build stuff, you know you're solving a problem. Don't just be scared that okay, your immediate community is not finding value in it. It may actually be valuable to somebody somewhere whom you do not even think, or you not even think of. So, in summary, like Dara said, build stuff. Do not put it behind the paywall, no matter how small it is. Build stuff, learn from it, take feedback, and grow. Then about putting yourself out there, right? So the the thought now is just design and put stuff out there. I saw a comment, something on Twitter where somebody recruited, okay, put stuff out there, put your work out there. Yes, this guy, these people that are putting their work out there, and they got the opportunity, but it turns out that the designs they created were basically AI generated. Right. So don't just put stuff out there for the sake of putting stuff out there. Right. Actually make sure that you actually know what you're doing. And yes, nobody's against putting stuff out there, but make sure you know so that when the opportunity comes, you are the right person and you're able to defend the fact that yes, like Dara said, if you ask him about PBM AI or you doubt his competency, point you to other stuff he has built. So he has a track record. All right. So yeah, that basically sums it up. So that thank you so much for joining our session. I was a bit skeptical if this was going to happen, right, because of communications and everything. But I'm glad that we have had this session. For me, I've learned a lot. I know for Raphael, I know for our audience, anybody following live and anybody who's going to listen to this after now. But just before we go, anything you want to share with anybody who's going to listen to this after right now? Just a few seconds, Dara, or we can just close it out.
I All right. What I want to share is for Raphael to ask me a question.
Okay, Raphael has been
I've been
quiet.
seeing his.
All through. Sorry, Raphael.
He has been making a lot of like there was something I said. I was like, nice, nice, nice.
Oh, okay. I think it was that comment about a builder's work isn't done until people start living in the house. That it just took everything home for me. It was
Yeah.
actually really really good. So yeah, like there's no way I'm not going to use that. There's no way I'm going to use that. Honestly, Kutaji has asked most of the questions that I'm really interested in. I follow you on Twitter a lot. Funny enough, the question I will have is not even design related. I saw you read manga, by the way. So was that yeah. So we should definitely be mutuals. I'm telling you, because I mean, and when you went on about how we get inspiration from different things, even some stuff that fictional stuff that I read, I'm like, okay, I see. Because design is so
Yeah.
interesting because there've been times when I've been trying to solve a problem, and I don't know if it applies to you as well, where you got inspiration from the most on you just looked at something like, oh, this makes sense, and you just connect, right? I really like how you
Yeah.
share how what you build. It's very interesting to me, and how you just talk about everything, both the mistakes, both the failures, the successes. It's so important to me that people talk about the entire thing and not just the victories and of building, of designing. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm not even going to lie. So that's all I want to say. I don't really have questions. It's been a really great session. I've actually learned a lot. One of my issues is that I don't share a lot online about my work. But after this session, don't
Yeah.
worry, you guys will hear from me. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. All right.
All right. So
Thank
Dara,
you
you've
very much, Raphael. We should
gotten your
connect.
request. So
We should connect.
yeah, Raphael, you're going to close out for
I
us. But before you, Dara, wait, are you
I
saying
still have
something?
my closing. I still have my closing remark.
Okay. Oh yeah. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
still have my closing remark.
Okay.
Since Raphael did not ask me a question. All right. So I think what I'm just gonna say is um all right. So this is what I'm gonna say. The I made a tweet. Some of the thoughts I have, I usually tweet about them. Well, the ones that I should tweet about. And sometimes it's not even that I want to create a teachable moment. Sometimes it's more based on what I am experiencing myself. Maybe because sometimes you just sit down and you realize that this is where I am currently, this is what has happened to me, and this is what I've learned. And you feel like people can learn from it. And one of such example is this. We when we do when we go to school, we sit down in class for 4 years trying to get a certificate, universities, right? And then afterwards, some of us don't even get to use those degree in real life, right? We just put it aside. For me, as an example, what I'm doing is far away from what I studied. Some of my people who knew me in school, whenever we say physical, how did you get into tech? I'm like, yo, you did not see it coming. So we do that for our degree, right? That some of us are not even using. But when it comes to our tech career, then you go out there and you see people who even sell courses, become a certified software developer in 3 months, become a UI designer is the one that they rubbish the most, because I've seen one that says you can be a world class UI designer in 6 weeks. What do you want to teach them? What do you want to teach them? Please come and explain to me, right? Because if you can give, what I'm just trying to say in essence is, if you can give such commitment to your degree, this is also a career path. I made a tweet recently where I said, treat your tech journey as a career. Don't just treat it as a money making scheme, right? You're going to make money, quite all right, but treat it as a career. I've seen people who treat their tech journey as a career. And then you see them acquiring certificates, you see them acquiring knowledge, and you see them also making progress. But there is the other category of people who just sits down and want the miracle to happen and the job should fall on their laps, and they're not putting in the work. So what I want to say, all of that story, the summary is the fact that treat your tech journey as a career, treat it as something that you want to put effort into. It's going to bring money to you, quite all right, but also treat it as something that you want to grow in. I know in startups there is no defined way. For some startups cannot take you to the level that you want to be, but see your career outside of the scope of the startup. So see people in civil service job or doctors or other profession, they see themselves becoming the director of that particular organization. Some see themselves moving from level one to level two, becoming a ed teacher. I personally have seen somebody that moved from ed teacher to teaching in a secondary school, to moving from teaching in a secondary school to teaching in a university, to becoming a professor. So we see that in different other careers. You should also be able to, so what we see outside, it's basically product designer, senior product designer. And you think that is what is really all about. It's more than that. So you need to begin to say, okay, one day I want to become the chief design officer for my company. And then when you want to be that, you need to start working towards that. Oh, I want to become the C. The only way to become a CEO by starting a company. Tim Cook did not start Apple. Sundar Pichai did not start Google. I can go on and on and on, make lists of people that did not start their company. Tech is still a very new industry, so to say. There was nothing solid about tech up until late 90s. So we are basically like 30 years thereabout into the journey. Really, we are really 30 years into the journey. So the some of the other professions like teaching have been around for hundreds of years. Medicine has been around for hundreds of years, or maybe even thousands. But our own profession is just coming up, it's just growing, and as it grows, more companies are going to become stabilized. We are going to start having the likes of Flutterwave of this world in Nigeria. We're going to have the likes of Money Points, the likes of Paystack that are going to be around for a long time, where within the structure of the organization you can grow as an individual and climb the ladder of your career. So because we are early, what we see mostly is just senior Ds, senior developer, senior product designer, senior backend developer. But there is much more than that. You can grow to become the product lead as a designer, especially as a designer. Don't let us be limited. Presently, the company, the trips that I work for, I grew up in the company from being a designer to a point where I was leading the tech team, where I was leading the tech team from the perspective of I had product designer, I had developers under me within the structure of the company. So we need to have more designers building products. Also, we need to have more designers also even leading tech teams. Who says you can't lead it? It's all about the product. You are not writing the code. Leading is all about making people do what they need to do and guiding them to do what they need to do. All right. So we just need to broaden our horizon as we think as developer. Not the quick $1,000, the quick $5,000 that you want to make is good. But as you make that, also think about the how you progress in your career, how you improve. And by that, there are things you need to learn. There are some losses you need to take. Right. Recently, I realized that I was not good in some aspect of design. Oh, really? I should do better here. And I started developing myself in that area. The fact that you can design good pixel is not enough. I'm going to wrap up here. So there's something that we talk about a lot on Twitter, and then people are going to say, "Hey, I see the portfolio of this person working in Apple. The portfolio is not even as good as some of us in Nigeria." I'm like, okay, hold on there. When you talk about design within this big company, to the very good extent, the design system, if you go to Google today as a designer, you are not really doing much. There's an already established design system. I'm even saying Google. If you go to Flutterwave today, for example, you're not going to be doing much. You are basically just going to be going to design system and picking components and using it, right? So what you are literally doing is just you are even doing more of thinking than actual design,
Yeah.
right? So when you talk about those people whose case study do not fit your own idea of what a case study should be, it's because designing is beyond creating those beautiful pixels. It's about product thinking. Product thinking is very important. How do you build products? So the summary of what I'm trying to say in essence is this: view your tech career. I assume there are going to be people who are going to watch this that are not going to be designers, right? Either as a developer, as a designer, view it, especially if it's something you love, view it as a career. That's something I'm doing myself, right? View it as a career and plan out your growth and follow through it. Learn as much as possible, and this is also going to guide you in terms of the company kind of people you work with, right? Working with a cracked team, using that word, a team that is very good, is very, very important. So personally, there was a job I took at a point in time that I had another job that was very good, but I was not able to work with the team because of the cracked team. So I decided to take a
Hello,
particular
Dara, you're
job
frozen.
because
Yeah.
I decided to do a particular job because the other one had people that can support my career, people that were good that I could learn from. And the other one was just a lean team, and there weren't a lot of people there that I could really learn from. So I'm just trying to say that view it as a career and let that inform the choices you make in terms of the jobs you take, in terms of what you learn, basically. So thank you very much. It's been exciting being on this podcast. I
Thank
mean,
you so
I
much.
said I wanted to do 1 hour, but I mean, I've even stayed longer than that because of
Thank
how
you so
exciting
much.
it has been. So
That
thank you.
shows how passionate you are, right? It's not just about what you build, but sharing knowledge, right? Like I've taken it. Rafa said this the last session we had, but I'm going to go back. Like, okay, Selma, go back and listen to this message. But it's not message. Go back and listen to this episode again because so Raphael, when I'm done, you just tell our audience where to find us. Then also just a bit of announcement. We're having another episode towards the end of the month to make up for. So basically, we're having 2 episodes this month because we did not have anyone for last month. So yeah, we have another episode coming up this month. But I'll leave announcements for Raphael on where to find us and how to follow up with us after now. But just so what Dara just said, I'm not trying to summarize, but let me just put it back in my. Let me just reiterate for myself. Treat your profession, don't be fancying with the senior designer, junior designer, what's it called, full stack designer conversations. Don't get obsessed with that. Think, treat your design profession as a career path. Where you need to get certifications, get the certifications. Take it seriously like a doctor would take their journey or their career, right? So take it like engineering, basically, take it like you are taking a full course, but of course, you have the liberty of deciding what to learn, where to learn. So you are not within the confines of a university limiting you, but take it that serious, right? So thank you so much for that, Dara. Then also the part of the fact that designers can actually lead technical teams. So as a designer, you are not just don't just limit yourself to pixels because there's this thing we say a lot. Designers should have a seat at the table, have a seat at the table. If a designer is the one spearheading the table, what's that conversation just goes to the bin because you know how many times where you push an initiative as a designer, but the engineering lead or somebody tells you we have to I think I saw something, we have to redesign we have to recode our design system to implement that change, a lot of technical efforts required. But imagine if a designer is the one leading that team, for instance. Like imagine the quality of products we are going to have out there. And of course it's a no-brainer today that design, having a good design is an edge. See, actually offers business value. So for anybody who's followed up to this point, please go back and listen to it. We're going to try as much as possible to distribute this, the shorts, the videos, as much as possible, where people cannot listen to the end, the whole of the video. But please, if you can, and you are with us till now, please go back and listen to this session again. Dara did not hold back, and I'm so grateful that we're having this session with you. So, Raphael, over to you to just close out for today. It's been a really long session and insightful one.
Okay, just want to say that this has been a very exciting session for me. I enjoyed the conversation. Dara has shared so many insights. And if you are watching this currently, please don't forget to share to your friends, retweet, repost, rebroadcast, whatever. You can find us if you missed this, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, yeah, literally all platforms are Designery HQ. This is so many this ends now. This is going to be posted live everywhere. You can also follow us on LinkedIn to see everything. You can also follow Dara and each of one of us. You can see our videos on the YouTube description. You can follow everybody there. Yeah, thank you so much, Dara. It's been a very great session. We're going to have another session come up next sometime this month, right? So we're gonna have another very interesting session. But this has been such a great session. Thank you for sharing your insight. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you so much, Dara. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.